Good morning, my dear ones, and welcome to our virtual community. I'm kind of getting quite used to this now. And as we come together in community in this way, the sanctuary always feels full. It really does, because it's full of your presence. So if there's anybody with us for the first time, we particularly welcome you on board, and we're delighted that you're joining us, and we trust that you will continue to do so. And for everybody out there, we always know the highest and the most wonderful unfolding good. And you're never far away. I mean, you may not be able to come into the sanctuary in person, but you're never far away. We have you well and truly close to mind and heart and totally prayed up. So know that as you go about the business of your day, or if you're feeling a little bit down any day, or if you feel a little bit lonely any day, don't be. We're with you. We truly are, and we always will be, and that's why we're here, to support you and to help as best as we know how to meet your needs. That's why we're here. And we continue to know ourselves as a communion, as people united under a common purpose, under a common cause, to honor presence, to nurture spirit, to enrich the life of all we serve, and to support, help building a compassionate world that works for everyone the way it's supposed. The quickest way to center ourselves in the awareness of something greater than ourselves is to breathe. Become one with the breath of our lives. Become one with the pranayama, that eternal breath that never stops breathing us ever throughout our whole eternal life. And remember, we're living that eternal life now. We're not waiting for a sweet by and by. This is it. This is our eternal life. So let's get in touch with it. Because when you think of eternal life, it's huge, it's big, it's vast. And that's what you are, that's what I am, in truth. Energy, omniscient energy, the very presence of life itself. It is a force to be reckoned with. And so let's take a conscious, connected breath now. And as I breathe deeply, filling up my lungs as high as I can go and emptying them as deep as I possibly can, I am becoming one with the pulse of life consciously. I am knowing myself to be the pulse in the pulse of life consciously, to be the breath of life in the eternal breath of life consciously. And that's all it takes for me to have the experience of wholeness and fullness and completeness and wellness and oneness. Just to know I'm in the breath of life. I'm in its flow, and its flow is in me. And that flow of breath flows through me magnificently. So I'm staying with that now, and as I do, this body temple, this beautiful, amazing body temple that's given to us on this plane, to take us through it in a glorious way, in an energetic way, in a vibrant way, comes to rest, comes to peace, comes to quiet, comes to stillness. The body stilled, the body quiet, the body at rest. And this happens when the mind is at rest. That beautiful oceanic, never-ending mind that I'm in. The mind of life itself, the mind of spirit itself, is what I'm in always and what I use to think into. So I allow my thoughts to settle as my body is settling. I allow my body to settle as my thoughts are settling. Just creating that space for the flow to flow beautifully without any kind of impediment at all. Nothing to stop it, nothing to slow it, nothing to block it. Just breathing, and when I'm breathing as I am now, life becomes lighter. Everything becomes lighter. And I'm just allowing myself to float, relax and float on that great current of the pulse of life that I am in the great pulse of life that is everything and everywhere. Breathing in and breathing out, knowing only the breath, feeling only the breath, conscious of only the breath, as a beautiful light energy flowing in and through me, merging and mixing and mingling with the cosmic sea of life in perfect harmony and unison with all the other pulses of life, all the other beautiful energies of breath, pulsating, vibrating in the oceanic, cosmic sea of life and light and love, peace and beauty and joy, harmony, communion, oneness, life being all that is, all I'm thinking, all I'm feeling, all I'm breathing, all I am. Life fullness, light fullness, love fullness. And as I do, I'm able to hear the music of the spheres, the cosmic word, speaking its tones, echoing those tones in and through by this pulsation of life and my breath. And it speaks, it speaks. And as it speaks, I know what is mine to be. Wherever I am, however I am, in whatever form I am, I know what is mine to be. As I listen, I simply listen. Listen to the word that's always speaking and desires to be made flesh by means of me. Speak, Spirit, I am listening. I am carefully listening. Without any distraction, I'm listening now. As I float on this oceanic sea of cosmic light and life and love. So in the quietness now and in the sacred silence, I hear what is being said. and so faceless and formless. I have that inner vision and that inner intuitive sense. And I can see whatever it is I choose to see. So I choose to see the planet Earth. And it is so beautiful in its orbit in space. So integrated, so one, so unified, so peaceful as I behold it. And I send my breath of life and pulse and beat and energy, that is spirits, forward with all the other myriads of pulsating lights within the light, to surround that beautiful planet and then to saturate it with the grace and the communion and union of the One, the Creator of all, creating within it an impulse to be open and receptive, to becoming the planet of serenity that it is meant to be, that is the divine design for it. I see all those pulses of hearts and minds beginning to open up, respond to all the light that's pouring through. Many more lights going on from within the planet, on the planet, around the planet, responding to the vibration and the light that's coming in. Minds awakening, hearts opening, spirits soaring, connection, contact, interaction, peaceful interaction, loving interaction, an entwinement of hearts and minds and souls in unison, in harmony, in oneness, as it is meant to be. And the song of the spheres and the universe sings to the planet, sings from the planet, the lullaby of the great mother energy of life, the calming, soothing song of the heart, the sacred heart, the divine heart, soothing and healing and mending and fixing everything that seems to require it, as only the mother can, as only the song of love can, as only the vibration of the divine can. And it is happening now. And the world lights up, and the beautiful blue-green gem sparkles, polished of illusion, so that the truth can out. Beauty and grace, unity and being. In evidence, expanding on this beautiful plane called planet Earth. And now acknowledging the true essence of my being, the formlessness, and my true state of energy, pure energy, and light, and love. I'm ready to return to the body, the beautiful body temple, my human armor that keeps me in that solid position of being able to function so well and adapt to the three-dimensional planet Earth. I'm on in form in this now moment. And as I redress myself again, I bless the body temple. I call it like it was called in the beginning, good and very good. I bless the mind of it and see its increase in awareness. I bless the emotional body of it and see its integration more and more into unity and balance and equilibrium. I bless the physical body, and I see it now working perfectly in accordance with the perfect action of divine law and spirit. For that's what it is. It is the action of spirit and form. I bless the soul, and I see it sparkling in a greater way and ready to soar in a more expansive way. Yes, I'm ready to return onto this plane, feeling very blessed indeed and very nurtured and very nourished and very provided for, given to, enriched, so that I can be more robust in my sacred service on this plane, which is why I'm here. And what I know for the self of me, the me self here, I am knowing for every self on this plane, the very same truth. For there is only the one, and only the one truth to flow through the one, even though that one on planet Earth is multitudinous in its forms and in its incarnations. So blessed be, and blessed be again, all of creation and the Creator itself. I accept my good. I accept my wholeness, my wellness, my completeness, my fullness, my plenty. I accept my amazing creative expression and my ability to be in loving relationship with all. So now, in a state of absolute gratitude and praise, send forth this blessing, this awareness of truth, out into the cosmos and beyond, knowing already it has been responded to, as I say, in faith. And so it is. And so it is. And indeed, so it is, my dear ones. So, this morning, as I was contemplating early in the day, very early in the day actually, I always eventually, on a Wednesday morning, casual Wednesday morning, open my mind to just divine inspiration with regard to what we all need to be focused on right here and right now in this moment. And I turn to the great book itself. And as I'm wont to do, I open it at a random page to see what Spirit has to say to us all and share from the book, the textbook of Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind and Spirit. And it opened on page 445 under the heading, The Need of Spiritual Experience. And that's what we're all finding right now, are we not? Our need for a spiritual experience. And as anybody who is familiar with Centers for Spiritual Living, we're all about providing for people the experiences of spirit, not just to stuff people with facts about spirit. We're not just stuffing minds. We're providing an opportunity for people to open their hearts, their souls, their total self, to the experience of spirit, the experience of God. God knows we don't need to know any more about God. By now, we've all learned quite enough. But what we do want is to experience whatever that thing called God is to you and to me. We want to experience that. We want to have an intimate relationship with it. We want to know that at any given moment, I can step out of my littleness, my human littleness, and move into the divinity of vastness and greatness, just like that. Just like that. Because we can. That's what the teaching is. We can. Why? Because of omnipresence. There's not a religion that doesn't teach omnipresence, that God is everywhere present. And that means right where you are, right where I am, exactly as we are. And make no mistake about it, God doesn't come and go according to our moods, our behaviors, and anything else. God is a permanent residence with you and with me. Never leaves us, no matter how naughty we become and misbehave ourselves. That spirit of life itself remains in its own creation always, because what the divine creates, divine enters into and remains with. Isn't that lovely to know, at the very least? Magnificent to know when you really know it. But to begin with, it's a lovely thought. Until it's not a thought anymore, it becomes an experience. And that's what we're always aiming for, an experience. Because once we've had an experience, there's no denying it. And if I can have an experience once, it means I can repeat it over and over and over again. You know, I was reading a little piece on the great Saint Teresa of Avila. She's an 11th century lady, great, fantastic mystic, and theologian, and all the rest of it, anything you can think. She's a good all-rounder spiritually. And one of her sharings just caught my mind, and it said, you know, I'd rather feel compassion than know the meaning of compassion. I'd rather feel it. Now that's what we're talking about here this morning. We want to feel the living essence of spirit deeply within us, around us, about us, above us, below us. And when we do you know what happens when we do? We feel it everywhere we are. We feel it with whomever we are. Yes, with whomever. The crabby, beautiful people as well. We can feel it anywhere once we get it within ourselves. And that's not just a tall story. That's the truth. And we need to be reminded of the truth often, instead of being told what wicked sinners we are. Well, we may be sinners, but we're very much more than that. Very much more than that. And as you know, the ancient English word for sin is missing the mark. It's an old archer's term, that's all it is. An old archer's term for missing the mark when you're aiming at the bullet, the bullseye. You miss it. Oh, sinful, you missed it. Next time you won't. See, that's the thing about this. There's always a next time for us. There's always not just a second chance. There's endless chances for us, non-ending chances for you and for me. It's like when Jesus was asked, well, how often do I have to forgive somebody? Do I have to be this generous and forgive them 7 times 7? Jesus laughs and says, 7 times 7? 70 times 7. And that just means all the time, large number. It doesn't mean 70 times 7. It means all the time. All the time. Well, it's the same thing about us. We have chances all the time, no matter how low our reach has been. We can come higher. We can get out of that hole, no matter how deep we've dug ourselves in. Yes, we can, but not ourselves. To do that, we have to get a grip. Get some kind of peace of mind, calm ourselves down, breathe deeply, and we may have to breathe a lot deeply before we can calm ourselves, but we can. Once we're breathing and we focus, we will calm down. And then, lo and behold, the guidance will come with regard to how to get up out of the ditch, out of the hole. It always does. But don't take my word for it. You have to try it out for yourself. Because this life is all one great big experiment. And the experiment takes place in the laboratory of your mind and mine. That's where our minds are. Great big laboratory. All kinds of weird and wonderful stuff, as you know, goes on in there. Sometimes we blow up a few things in our, experimenting. But when we get it right, it's da-da-da-da-da-da-dum-dum. And once we get it, we keep it. We always have it. Now that's what each and every one of us can know about ourselves. Even in the depths of our despair, it's true of us. We are a conflagration of light all the time. We just have lost the ability to recognize that. We have detached ourselves from that possibility. And yet we're told over and over again that the earth, life, is full of infinite possibility, and ours is the privilege of giving birth to any possibility we hone in on. How about that? When did you last think about that? Well, now's the chance. So this piece on having a spiritual experience is very important. And you might say to yourself, well, I don't really have those very often. I don't often have them. I don't even know if I've ever had one. Yes, you have. You've had lots and lots and lots and lots and lots. You just didn't recognize them. You know when you're enthralled by a baby's chuckle? First time you see a new baby, sunset, sunrise, little kitten cat, little puppy, whatever brings you, bubbles up in you that joy, that's a spiritual experience. Learn to notice them, and you'll have more. And so, he says, we need spiritual experience, a first-hand knowledge of life and reality. There is no medium between God and man, which is all of us. Nothing between life and living, between heaven and hell, but an idea. But an idea has no real value until it becomes an experience. So all our ideas of good and bad and right and wrong and hell and heaven and so on, it's all an idea that somebody sowed in our heads somewhere along the line of our eternal lives. And it has to do with the fact that you and I are living really in a dualistic world. Life is dualistic on planet Earth. Remember, it's a 3-dimensional planet. Now, in my Father's house, there are many mansions or dimensions. 3 is pretty low down on the rung of the mansion list or dimension list. But nevertheless, it's a beautiful place to be because you and I chose to be here for whatever reason. But remember, you and I are also interdimensional. It's not so much that we're intergalactic, we're interdimensional, and we're in and out of dimensions all the time. Sometimes it happens when we're in that kind of hazy, daydreamy state, or we're asleep and it's dream time or whatever it is. But you and I are in and out of all kinds of dimensions all the time. Now, if we want to focus on what dimension we want to visit or be in, we can do that too. So remember, everything flows out of an idea, whatever it is. Every experience flows out of an idea, whatever the idea is. And as the good bard Shakespeare himself said a long time ago, there's nothing good nor bad, but thinking makes it so. As you think it, so it is, we're told. Ancient, simple wisdom, ever made new. But how long is it going to take in and out of planes before we get it? That your mind is your power store. And how you use it will provide you with good experiences or not such good experiences. And so you cannot but be having spiritual experiences all the time. Why? Because all life is spiritual. It's not some spiritual people over there and not so much over here. Good gob of spirituality over there, but none over here. Rubbish. The whole of life is sacred. The whole of life is spiritual. The whole of life is divine. The whole of life is filled with omnipresence, and that's why it is divinely spiritual. Omnipresence. The indwelling of the creator of our being is in it all. In it all. People ask all the time, well, where was God without a da-da-da happened? Right in the midst of it. To be recognized, but we have to recognize it. And remember, Spirit's force and power comes by invitation only. Until the invite is given, it's a neutral power, a neutral force, a neutral energy. But when we invite that in to be the greatness of itself and the goodness of itself and the wholeness of itself, the fullness of itself, then it flows through. We're told he stands at the door and knocks, and he who will open, I will enter in. I and the Father will enter in, and we will be in communion with that one. And there are many pictures of the great Christed master teacher, Jesus, knocking with a lamp in his hand, knocking on a door. He has to because there's no handle on the outside. It can only be opened on the inside. You and I have to open the door. Some beautiful pictures depicting that, very vividly demonstrating the point. Invite. That's why we are told by all of the mystics, all of the wise ones, court the presence, court the presence. Why? Because the presence is forever, eternally courting you and I, and we're not courting back. It's unrequited love, so to speak. So we must court the presence. Pay attention to the presence. Love up on the presence. Contemplate the presence. Be grateful in the presence, thankful in the presence. Be open and receptive to its good. That's what we need to do. It's very simple, really. It's like everything else because we're all a reflection of that. Why do you think, in heaven's name, that we're running around all the time trying to find the perfect relationship, thinking that's what we need to have us get that sense of fulfillment? And let me tell you, my dear ones, the ones who have found the perfect relationship will soon tell you, no, that doesn't do it. It's beautiful, it's wonderful, and it's blessing. God knows it's a blessing, but it doesn't do it. It doesn't give me that feeling of connection that I'm looking for. It's because what Augustine says, which I often remind us, you have made us for yourself, O Lord, and our hearts cannot find rest until they rest in you. What is there not to understand about that simple sentence? You have made us for yourself, and our hearts cannot find rest until they rest in you. Now, some of us are going, oh my God, does that mean I have to meditate for hours, and do I have to do this and do that? You have to do nothing. Nothing. You simply have to stop, breathe, and know you're breathing the presence. That's all. Now, don't tell me anyone cannot do that. Not everybody can sit and Prestel themselves for an hour or 2 or 3. Not everybody's expected to. You get in touch with that presence, that essence, in your own way. Some of us will do it in the garden as we're absolutely enthralled by nature. And then we just add that wonderful additive to it. This is all spirit in action. This is spirit in action. This beauty, this grace, this is spirit in action. These seeds growing, they're spirit in action. That's spirit's life in them, infusing them and moving them into what they're supposed to be. And nature is the beautiful example because it does it perfectly. There's nothing to get in the way of it. No mind going crazy getting in the way of it. The seed goes into the ground does its thing, the water does its thing, the sun does its thing, and the seed comes up, grows, produces. Does what it's supposed to do perfectly. The butterfly gets itself ready for that beautiful metamorphosis as the caterpillar, finds where it needs to be, cocoons itself, and when it's ready, out comes that butterfly. And little did that caterpillar know, when it was looking for its cocoon, that it wasn't the end of something. Something greater was on the way. Little did that caterpillar know. And what a surprise. And that's the kind of transformation that you and I can have. That extraordinary transformation from something that has to crawl on the ground to something that can fly in the sky. Isn't that amazing? As you are. And remember, the only person you have to amaze is yourself. So I'm going to just leave you for this part of our time together with this little piece I picked up. And it says, every condition, every experience of life is the result of a mental attitude. Result of a mental attitude. We can do only what we think we can do. We can be only what we think we can be. We can have only what we think we can have. What we do, what we are, what we have, all depends upon what we think. Isn't that wonderful? We can never express anything that we do not first have in mind. If it's not in your mind, it can't happen. If it's not in your mind, it doesn't exist. So ponder this small little sharing, because it means that if I want health and well-being, I cannot be thinking about sickness, because sickness is where my mind is, and that's where I'll keep producing. So while I want to leave sickness and move into health and well-being, I have to think about myself as I would be if I was so healthy and well. what that would look like, what that would feel like. What would I be thinking? What would I be saying? What would I be doing? What would I be feeling? And that's where the focus has to be. I talked to you about that before, recently. Golden keying everything else, taking our minds off our problems and putting our minds on God the good. Doesn't matter whether you say take your mind off your problem, put your mind on your good, or take your mind off your problem, put your mind on God. It's the same thing. You have the power, and the power is your use of mind. That is your power. That's all you need to flourish, to thrive, to accomplish, to achieve, to succeed, and to come to a sense of fulfillment. But that only happens when we're in communion with our source. So whatever it takes, and it's simple enough, breathe and know you're breathing the breath of life. And that breath of life is all power, and it can accomplish anything you desire for it to accomplish once you put your mind on the thing that you are desirous of. It's amazing. It's amazing. So I was coming out here this morning, I dropped the button off my blazer here. And so I replaced it, because I didn't have time with anything else, I replaced it with a glimpse, which is a glimpse at the pulse of where we are. This particular one says, expect a miracle. Why not? Why not expect a miracle? Because what we expect, we experience, my dear ones, and never take my word for anything or anybody's word for anything. You have to test everything out yourself. Prove it to yourself, as only you can. So take a chance on bigness in life. Take a chance on moreness in life. Take a chance on an expanded version of yourself. Why not? It's very possible. It's how you're meant to be, moving and morphing into more and more and more of your great good self all the time. It's yours for the knowing. It's yours for the saying yes to. Yes to life. Life in abundance. Life in fullness. Life in plenty. Life in health. Life in loving relationship with all. Life through creative expression. Why not? It's who you are, it's what you are, and what you're supposed to be. Stop playing small. Open up wider and wider and wider every day, and you will if you breathe and breathe and breathe more consciously every day. Practice the breath. Practice the breath. I breathe the life springs of eternity. I breathe them into myself and I breathe them out from myself. Whatever it takes, this is what you must do. And it does take focus. It does take concentration. It does take your time to pause, relax, and learn to love being in your own company, especially now. There you have it. And so that is, and before I bless the offering, I just want to remind everybody, especially our own people, everybody's wondering, well, when are we opening the center? When are we opening the center? When are we opening the center? And I'll tell you when. When we are as sure that we can take the fullest possible care of everyone who crosses that threshold and keep everything safe and sound for each one. That's when we will be opening our doors to community in person. Remember, no one wants this more than I do, the ministers do, and all of us here do in leadership. We want it more than even you wanted, but we're not going to be hasty. I spent a whole lot of time yesterday on a Zoom program by Church Mutual, our insurance company, and our officers at headquarters. And the logistics for opening up a safe center, they're huge. They're huge. And even the attorneys and the insurance people were saying, please choose wisely, because we don't want to have a bleak autumn time. We don't want to create that, having done all the good work that we have done. So I feel the urge in each and every one. I feel the urge in us all for physical presence. I really, really understand it, and I know it, all of us do. But we will be proceeding with caution, responsibility, and wisdom. Please understand that, and just keep posted. We'll let you know as things unfold, as things open up. We'll let you know. We really will. And there are ways of being connected, and not all of us are doing it. Not all of us are responding to the opportunity of community in the virtual world. And please, Zoom is a very easy way of doing it. And if anyone has any difficulty with that program, just call and we'll help you out. It's so worthwhile to be part of the Zooming community. It really, truly is. Everybody who is, just love it. Just love it. It's not ideal, but it's the next best thing. So please remember that. And remember, you're safely tucked away in our hearts and in our prayerful thoughts. But also, we have you in mind all the time. No one forgotten. It may appear that way to you at times, but that's not the truth. That's not the truth. You're dearly beloved. You're very precious and very important to us all. Each one of us in the community is a very significant point of light that's extremely important for us all to be connected as best we can, as best we can. So try again, those of you who haven't entered into the virtual way of communicating with each other. Keep up the endeavor. It's well worthwhile. And know that you're loved, know that you're cherished, know that you're appreciated. And above all else, my goodness me, we see it in the beautiful way that you're all contributing, and all continuing with your pledges. And those of you who are doing extra, deeper thanks to you. For those of us who can, we're endeavoring to do what we can as best we can in that way. But to keep the doors ready to be opened in full swing, we need to keep up our support in every way, in every way. And remember, prayer is the greatest of all gifts. So please understand you have our gratitude, our deep gratitude for your continuous donations and support financially. We appreciate that very much. Know it. We're very short, as you know, of staff, or we're slower than usual in getting things out. But understand, we're not slow in the heart and in the mind and in the prayer zone. So now I'm going to get my offering, and we're going to bless our offerings. And we're going to know that what we're doing here is participating in an opportunity to increase our own good, really, because you can't outgive God in generosity. You never can. And for those of us who know it, really, for the ones who truly know it, it never fails to amaze what great good things happen as a result of our givingness of life back unto itself. So we take our gift between our blessing hands and we say, Divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, to bless, and to prosper all those who give and all those who receive. I do rejoice in the sharing of my good, and I release my gift with love. And so it is. So until we're together again in virtual community, know we're always together in mind, in heart, in prayer. So take good care of yourselves. Continue to be cautious and wise. Continue to follow the protocols. And know that this too is passing. This too is passing. So just take each day as it comes, bless the day, and make it the best possible day that you can make it. And it'll fly, I promise you. Love you all, and as my little grandniece Isla would do as she's saying farewell, and sometimes her brother Ryan joins in. Mwah, mwah, mwah.